Okay, today we are solving and we're going to be graphing linear inequalities. Inequalities are very similar to the equations that we've been looking at, except now we don't have an equal sign in our equation. Now we have our inequalities, which are greater than signs or less than signs. So we're going to be talking about how to solve those. So we are going to solve like normal. We're going to treat our inequality sign, our greater than or less than, treat it just as if it was an equal sign, and we're going to solve for y equals. Okay, we're going to solve for y just like normal. The only curveball here, the only curveball we have is that we need to flip our inequality sign, our greater than or less than. We will flip that sign only if you multiply or divide by a negative number. You're only flipping the sign if you multiply or divide by a negative number. So I have an example here, negative 2y. This is less than or equal to 3x plus 10. So in this case, to get y by itself, we are going to divide by negative 2. Well, if I divide one number by negative 2, I've got to divide every number individually divided by negative 2. So I've got y. Now, since I divided by a negative number, that's our rule, if we multiply or divide by a negative number, we're going to flip our inequality sign. So now instead of less than or equal to, I'm going to flip the sign to be greater than or equal to. Okay, so we treat this as always, same as always. 3 divided by negative 2, that doesn't reduce, but we want our negative to go up top. So we call it a negative 3 over 2x. That's going to be our slope. And then our y-intercept is going to be 10 divided by negative 2. 10 divided by negative 2 is just negative 5. Okay, so in that example there, we had to flip our inequality sign because we divided by a negative 2. We divided by a negative number. All right, so if we look at our assignment here, actually we're not solving on number 3, so let's go ahead and talk about the graphing part as well. All right, when we are graphing these inequalities, we will graph them the same. We always want to start with our y-intercept first. So in this example, we would plot our negative 5 first. From there, we would then plot our slopes. In this case, it would be negative slope 3 over 2, so we'd go down 3, right 2. Negative slopes go down and to the right. Okay, so we would go down 3 and right 2. Okay, so there are a few things you need to know about these inequalities. It's going to change the way your graph looks a little bit. Anytime you have an inequality, if you have just a less than symbol, or if you just have a greater than symbol, then when you connect those dots, when you connect all your coordinates that you've plotted on your graph, you're going to connect those coordinates with a dotted line. If it's greater than and equal to, or if it's less than, this is less than equal to, or if it's greater than equal to, you'll connect all those dots with a solid line. If it's less than, or if it's less than equal to, so if it has less than, we are going to shade down below the line. And I remember this by, this is the less than symbol. We're going to shade down. And last but not least, if you have a greater than symbol, or if you have a greater than equal to, we're going to shade up above the line. So if we have a greater than symbol, we are going to shade up. It makes the word up above the line, less than makes the word down. So, all right, now let's look at number 3. All right, number 3, I don't really like the way this is written. We want it in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to rewrite this to say y is greater than, I'm going to put my negative 4x in the front, and I'm going to move my positive 3 to the back, slope-intercept form. Now that I've got it in slope-intercept form, I can tell the slope here, negative 4, that's my m. And the b is my y-intercept, which is now positive 3. So if I'm going to graph this, I'm going to start on the positive 3, the y-intercept, and then my slope here is negative 4 over 1. So negative slopes I know go down and to the right. So 1, 2, 3, negative 4 over 1, down and to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, down and to the right. I could also go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the left. That goes off the graph, but it's okay. Now, looking at my line, I don't want to just connect these dots with a solid line. Okay, looking at this, this is just a greater than symbol. There's no equal to line underneath it. If there was an equal to, solid line. There's no equal to, so in this case we are connecting all of our coordinates, our line is going to be a dotted line. You still need the arrows on each end, but our line is going to be a dotted line in this case. Some teachers call it a dashed line. If you put dashed, I'm okay with that as well. I'm not worried about that, what you call it. The shading. All right, we are going to shade either up or down. Now, once again, this is a greater than symbol, and greater than symbols tell us we are going to shade up. So what you do is you put your pin on the line, and you go straight up, straight up, straight up. So this looks like we're shading to the right of the line, but actually what we're shading is up. So that would be a completed inequality graph right there. Let's step it up a notch. Flip it over to number 7. Okay, graph this inequality. Well, this guy isn't ready to graph yet. I've got to solve for y first, like usual. So if I'm trying to get this guy by itself, I need to get rid of the 2x. So I'll subtract 2x from both sides. So I have negative 3y. I subtracted 2x, so the sign doesn't flip when I subtract, so I leave it less than or equal to. I'll put my negative 2x in the front, and I'll put my positive 9 at the end, so it's slope-intercept form. Last step to get this y by itself, we're going to have to divide by the negative 3. Divide by negative 3 on the right side to every one of these numbers. So I've got y. Uh-oh, I divided by a negative. You should have alarms going off. When I divide by a negative number, the rule says to flip the inequality sign. So instead of less than or equal to, it's now going to be greater than or equal to. Okay, so if I reduce this, negative divided by negative turns into a positive. And 2 over 3 doesn't reduce any, so we'll put it as a positive 2 over 3x. And now 9 divided by negative 3 is going to be negative 3. Here's my equation. I always start graphing the y-intercept. Negative 3 on the y-axis, not the x-axis, negative 3 on the y-axis. Positive slope is going to go up and to the right. So we're going to go 2 over 3. So we're going to go up 2 over 3. Up 2 over 3. And instead of going up and to the right, I could also go down to left 3. All right, now when I connect these dots, I have an equal to sign of the equal to underline here. So that tells me that when I connect these dots, I'm going to connect it with a solid line. And last but not least, the last thing I need when I have inequalities, I need to shade. This is a greater than symbol, and greater than symbols, again, tell me to shade up. So I put my pen on the line, and I will shade everything up above the line. And that's number 7. Last problem, number 11. Number 11, again, we have to solve for y. So if I'm trying to get this guy by itself, I need to get rid of my 4x. So I'll subtract the whole 4x to the other side. So I've got 3y. My sign does not flip when I subtract 4x. I want to put my x in the front. Now you don't need to put a plus 0 at the end. You can, but it's really not necessary. Last step, divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. What, do I flip my sign when I divide by a positive 3? No. My sign stays the same. It's going to stay less than. Negative 4 divided by 3, that does not reduce, so we'll leave it as negative 4 over 3. And then 0 divided by 3 is just a 0, so I don't really need to put the 0 there. But if there's no y-intercept at the end, I should understand that it's a 0. Plot that first. Now my slope, negative slope. Negative slopes go down and to the right. So I'm going to go down 4 over to the right 3. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 3. And if I go down 4 and right 3, I go off the graph. So I can also go up 4 and left 3. All right, so I do not have an equal to line underneath here. So I'm not going to go solid. I instead need to go a dotted line here. And last but not least, I've got to shade this. This is a less than sign. So a less than sign tells me I shade down. So I put my pen on the line and go straight down. I shade all this down below the line. And that's all we've got for today.